Let's continue our conference about the questions and challenges of diaspora. I'm Zoltán Fazakas from the Ferenc Mádl Institute, and I will moderate the second panel of this conference. And I would like to ask Mr. Nadav Douani to give his lecture to us. Mr. Douani, the floor is yours, please.
So my wife asked me to ask you what is better, with the beard or without the beard. So if you like the beard, please let me know. I will let her know it's nicer. So with the beard, okay, I will go with that. I will stay with the beard for now. The problem, it's in when you enter to the country, they look in the passport and they see without the beard, it's a little bit problem, but to be fine. Professor Dan Shechtman, the Nobel Prize winner, said, "We are the Israeli, desperately need young people to carry the torch of science. We have a lot of them, but do we have enough?" So the biggest question that I'm dealing with as the CEO of Science Abroad, the organization of Israelis that stays abroad, it's do we have enough Israeli that can carry the torch of science? And the answer is no. So my mission is to bring Israeli scientists back home to Israel. And when I'm talking about Israeli scientists, we need to understand that in Israel we have Muslim and Christians and Druze communities. I'm talking about all of them. Each Israeli that moves abroad to do his postdocs or PhD, we are welcoming him back home to Israel, and we are working very hard to make sure that they are coming back home. So I would like to share with you in the next 20 minutes how we work, what is our mission, and how we build an organization that help keep those communities abroad, and in the end, wish them to come back and to the home of Israel. We see and recognize the word home at the Archimedes point that will make the turnoff for people to move to one place and back to Israel. The organization was established in 2006 by two young Israelis that moved to do their postdocs abroad, Dr. Shmuley Kess and Dr. Gil Blinder in Boston. In some snowy evening, they was celebrating in some party, and they say, all right, how we can help Israelis that are here in Boston, the most brilliant and talented Israelis, how we will help them move back to Israel. In their vision, they saw airplanes moving from one place to another and bringing Israeli back to the homeland, to the Holy Land, and work for the academia and working for the industry and working for the government. And there was a little group of 20, 22 young Israelis. And since then, it was rebuilt, it was built and grow. And now we have 41 branches, 4,500 members, Israelis, all of them Israelis with PhD. We are in 8 countries, 4 continents, and we have more than 100 volunteers that help us on daily basis to build those communities and make them strong and working all the time. In our organization, all the universities who are NGO, all the universities are member in our organization. We have government officials that are supporting us, and leading companies in the Israeli market support us as well. Our mission is to make sure that Israel will be a better place than she is today, and she's a very good place, but we would like to grow and to be much stronger. Before I will do a drill down and speak about our work and how we do what we do, I would like to show you a little bit about organization, a symbol of few organizations that work in matter to help Israeli diaspora, Jewish diaspora, to be and stay connected to the state of Israel. There is a religious organization like Chabad that they have their own branch here in Budapest, and they are all over the world. I can promise you that there are more than one here in Hungary, and it doesn't matter where you're from. There is a place of Chabad all over the world, in India, in North America, South America, in Africa, they are all over there. There is 2 organizations like Taglit and Masa that help young Jews around the globe to come to visit Israel for 7 days to 3 months, spend some time in Israel, learn the Israeli society, and go back home, as my colleague said before, and be ambassadors for the state of Israel. There is the IAC organization. I think this is one of the most interesting organizations that is now active. He's very new, he's for less than 10 years. He's in the United States. They define themselves as Israelis Americans. Israelis that immigrate to the United States, see themselves as Israeli, but see themselves as Americans, as community that will never come back to the state of Israel and will stay there. They are the largest growing organization in the state that activated all the year. They have branches all over the United States, and they have the annual summit in Miami for already 10 years. Last summit, not the last summit, the summit before of that, President Trump came over there, the Prime Minister of Israel came over there, the President of the State of Israel came over there, and because of that, it's one of the most important organizations of Israelis. There are organizations like Nefesh B'Nefesh and the Jewish agencies that help Jews to immigrate to the State of Israel, all right? Not only Israelis, they say, okay, you're a community of Jews around the globe, come and move to the State of Israel. Nefesh B'Nefesh work in North America, and the Jewish agency working globally, worldwide, and they're helping Jews to move to the State of Israel. And there is the Jewish Federation, that united Jews organization in North America, and you have the Histadrut HaTzionit that help take the idea of Zionism and connect them to the State of Israel. All those organizations see themselves connected to the State of Israel by the thinking that say that no one is washing a rental car. This is not a rental car, this is your own car. And you care about it daily, and it doesn't matter if it's a right or left government, you are supporting the State of Israel, you are criticize the State of Israel if you want to say something, but in the end, you care about the State of Israel. Before, I would like to speak a little bit more about terminology, all right? There is a few words are saying a lot. When you are moving to the State of Israel, it's called in Hebrew aliyah, moving up. And when you're moving up, you go to a better place. When you're moving up, it's hard. They're not using escalator by making aliyah. You need to climb on the mountain. So it's hard, but you are in a better place. So if you want to move to Israel, you need to consider two things. First, it's hard, it's not easy. And second, you will improve your life because you go to a better place. When you are leaving, immigrate outside of the State of Israel, you're going down, אתה יורד. So it's easy to go down, but you go from a better place to not a better place. So the terminology says a lot about how we see immigrant people. We are not using the word immigrate. We say moving up, going down. This is the way we see people that immigrate from the State of Israel. By the way, one of the Prime Minister of the State of Israel said about Hagira, that moving down from the State of Israel, he was almost cursing those people about when you are leaving Israel, you are weak people. So we see it as a very hard thing to leave the State of Israel. The data that I will show you right now, I think will tell you all the story about what we see and how the brain drain is a dangerous thing for the State of Israel. Over here you can see, the Nobel Prize winner in the last from 2011, you can see that Israel is at the top 10, not only at the top 10, she's leading the top 10 in number 1. The percentage is 0.86 for Israel, 0.24 to United States and New Zealand, and go all the way down to 0.11 to Sweden. If we would like to keep those data, if we would like to make sure that Israel will become a strong country as she is right now, we need those brilliant minds back in Israel, working for the academia, working for the industry, make a research, make a good researches at the universities. We did something good in the last 70 years, but we need to make sure it's keeping up. Another thing that you will see, it's the number of Israeli lecturers in the US Constitute. They are a quarter of all senior faculty that remained in the State of Israel. Here you can see example of 6 sections, specific sections, and you can see how many Israelis moving abroad, working at the 40 US department, the top 40 US departments, and stay over there. They are brilliant, they are smart, they win Nobel Prize, they are at the Ivy League. We want them back in Israel. we had a lot of issues, how to solve it, but this is something that you can see all the time. 43% of business administration, 20% of economics, 21% of computer science, 13% of philosophy, 11% in physics, 10% of chemistry. Those data are bad for us. And if I would like to say only one good thing of that, we had some colleague of us that she's working at the Broad Institute. This is the MIT and Harvard Institute in Boston. She told me I'm getting tens of calls every day. But when I hear Hebrew, I'm answering the phone. It doesn't matter. So there are ambassadors for the state of Israel. This is important for us. It's strong, but we want them in Israel. Another slide that I would like to show you, it's about the number of doctors that are moving from their homeland and immigrant to a different country. So again, Israel is leading the number. Israel is 13.2% of Israeli doctors in Israel that move abroad. Iceland, 10.2. Canada, 8.3. Hungary, 3.4. And you can see the numbers are going down and down, but still doctors, MDs moving from their homeland to the US and working over there. The opportunities are big, the salary are big, but in the last pandemic that we're still in it, it's amazing that no one with mask here. In Israel, everyone will be in mask. The windows will be open. My wife told me, again, tell her that I'm speaking about her for the second time in this lecture. Tell me, please stay with a mask. I told her, don't worry. Larry, after that, you'll tell her that I'm with a mask, all right? The photo after one photo with a mask, I'm sorry. So you can see that in the pandemic, we need them. Every country needs them. But when they are moving, when they are immigrating to a different country, you're losing something. So what we do? We create communities. We understand that the power of community that speak on the same level with the same people that dealing on the same issues, it's something that makes those communities as strong communities. We explore them to job opportunities. We connect the connection between them and the state of Israel. We're keeping their identity. We're not letting them run away. In that way, we are finding the brain drain. They are celebrating Israeli holidays, Jewish holiday. Not a year ago, in last Christmas, we had a celebration, Christmas and Hanukkah together in the UK. Christian kids, Jewish kids, all Israelis celebrate together the holidays in order to say we are one community, we are celebrating together. And they spoke Hebrew. That was the united. Israelis speaking Hebrew, celebrating Christian and celebrating Jewish holidays together. We bought present for both kids. One got a menorah and the Chanukiah, and the other got something else for Christians. Because we said we are all one community, we are all Israelis. Each one of those Israelis, sorry I kept the slide. Each one of those Israeli is a pioneering. He's creating an impact. And if we would like to keep this impact, we need them again in Israel. As you saw, the number of the Nobel Prize winner is very high. Israeli companies are second in the NASDAQ. We are number 7 in Bloomberg Innovation Ranking. 87% of Israeli wastewater is reclaimed, the highest percentage globally. And there is one company for every 1,400 people in Israel. We'd like to make sure it's happening. So we are activating the academia. We need strong academic. We need a strong basic science. We need a break because we understand that basic science, those are the roots for the future. You can see that the vaccination now for the COVID-19 started, the messenger RNA started in university. It was not started in a private company. They took the basic science in the university, they transfer it to a company, the company lead it, all right? We are at the top 100 of universities in the world. We have 3 universities in the top 100. The Technion, Weizmann, Tel Aviv, or the Hebrew University change every time, every publication. We need to stay in those top 100. In that, we need those people in Israel. We need to bring the brilliant, the cleverest back to Israel. We are activated in the industry. We know that there is not enough open position in the university. So the way to find a solution for that is to show them there is opportunities in the industry. There is a lot of funds, a lot of VCs. This is impact all the market, all the trade. taxes that they are paying, startups that are opening, patents. This is really important to us, and that's the reason why we are focused on it. One thing you need to understand, I'm sorry I didn't say it at the beginning, that the academic system in Israel, it's mandatory to do a postdoc when you finish your PhD. How it works, you do a PhD and you say, I want to go back and work for the academia. So the academia tell you, move abroad. It's better to go to an Ivy League, do your postdocs and then come back. So in biology, they spend sometimes, let's say 7 years in research. In 7 years, they have kids, they have families, the life become easier and they are staying. That's the reason why they are moving abroad. And this is why we're trying to bring them back. And never forget that in Israel, we start to study at the university later than others. Because of the military service is mandatory, only in the age of 21, the options are open. But most of us started only in the age of 23, 24, because we are going to travel abroad. This is how Israeli work. I was traveling in South America. Friends of mine went to travel in India. This is how it works. This is why it's so late. So we are focused, as I told you, in the industry. We try to bring those people to the industry. Okay, so let's drill down a little bit more. So as I told you, we have 41 communities. In those places, they are feeling at home. In those places, they're feeling Israel. We're bringing all the time people from Israel, president of universities, CEO of companies, to come and give them lectures. Because we see that this is the limbo with a lot of difficulties, and we're trying to help them to get this through. The COVID teach us, again, that we need to be online all the time. So we are activated in all the platforms. In the Facebook, it's friendly. We have a close Facebook group of more than 4,000 members. They have chats all the time. They ask questions all the time. They are helping each other. We have a LinkedIn, professional to the industry. We have Twitter, professional to the academia. We have YouTube with all our webinars and all things that we are publishing. We have Instagram, very community. And we have a website that they can get all the information that we would like to supply them, and they can ask us questions all the time. The top record of our online activity was a symposium with the Nobel Prize winner, Ada Yonat, that she didn't come as a keynote speaker. She came as a guest. When she was registered, the organizer told me, Nadav, Professor Ada Yonat was registered. I need to sit down for a minute and relax because we were so surprised about the impact. 2.5 million views we had in 2021. In 2021, this number is amazing because all our webinars are in Hebrew. The population of Israel is 9 million, all right? 2.5 million views we had. We are giving them flight grants because if they need a little bit more push, we are there. We are paying for the flight, 70% of the flights if they're coming for interviews in Israel. Because, okay, you want to move to Israel, you want to come and work, the tickets will cost you $1,000 if you're coming from the state. You will pay $300, we will pay $700. And then you will move to Israel because we'd like to help you in that. We are almost feeding them with a spoon. We have industry workshop in Israel that will happen next week. We'll bring 20 Israeli scientists from all over the world for 5 days of exposure to the industry. They have job interviews. They have hackathon in the end. They learn about what's going on in Israel. So if they had a community in the state or in the UK or in France or Germany or Australia, it's good. We bring them to Israel. We pay for the flights, again, 70% of the flight, and we give them more information about the Israeli ecosystem. We have our job website, Job Center. For us, if you are not a PhD, I'm not a PhD, I will not say it's easy to find a job, but it's much easier than others. You go to online, you find the place, you look for a job. When you are a PhD, it's harder because most of the time that you will tell you that you are too talented for this position. We have a job center that is specified for PhDs members. So if you're a PhD, go to our website. You'll have so many opportunities. We published more than 400 job opportunities last year. Now we started a new program with the Ministry of Economy that's called Entrepreneurship Program. We allow them, if they don't have the experience, we want to bridging the gap, and we bring them for 1 year in Israel, and we are helping them to get job opportunities because we understand this is like step in the door. If they will move, start more working, bring their families, it will be harder to move abroad back and leave the state of Israel. So we help them with their recruitment process, we help them to write the resume, and in the end, they have a training course in Israel that we are paying for the course in order to do the step and move back to Israel. A new initiative that we have, it's called the Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is very new. We are planning to open this in the end of the year. We will open 5 communities, 3 in the States, 1 in the UK, and 1 in Israel. Those communities will be communities of talented in the industry. One of the most important problems that we have in Israel is the problem of talented. We have brilliant people, we have smart people, but you need experience in the UK market, the European market, in the US market, how to take a drug and move it from idea and sell it abroad, how to do regulation, how to do sales. So we understand that's a problem. We want to story. Our chairman of Science Abroad raised $30 million. And he wanted to open a company. And he had the idea, he had the money, but he didn't have the CEO. So he was looking in Israel for a CEO, someone that have all the talent. He didn't find. In the end, he found Israeli woman, PhD, that lived in Boston, and he hired her. If she was in Israel, it was more important to us. It was more influencer about the Israeli economy. So those groups will be a talented group that will learn together, talk about the challenges, the opportunities, and in that way we'll have a group that next time that someone in Israel will raise money, have the idea, he can tell them, listen, I have a job opportunity. And when they will decide to move, the kids will become, before college, this is a point that we discover as a very critical point. They say before the kids move to college, we want to move back to Israel, we can offer them job opportunity. We have an information center. In the information center, we give them answer about everything, how to move, how to immigrate to the state of Israel, the community help to each other. If you have problems, we have so many problems that I'm not even able to tell you about them, but they are feeling free all the time to speak with us. The last thing, we understand that without the government, it will never be able to work. So we are working with the government. The Ministry of Aliyah and Integration is a strong partner of us for more than 10 years. The Ministry of Science and Technology, we do some project. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have beautiful projects that need to be started in May, and we're working with the Authority of Innovation about project. We are helping to the government with making a decision. We are writing a new bill that will help Israelis to do the step and move back to Israel, because we understand that regulation is really important about that. We are working on special research that will give the influencer in Israel information on how much money, this is the way of our officials are thinking, how much money the state of Israel losing by that they are abroad. If you will take, I would like you to take one thing from my things over here today, from this session. I would like you to understand that we need to work in reversing lines and create a critical mass about those communities, because this is the way we'll make a change. We cannot push them and push them and push them. It doesn't work. The way it will work, it's only if we'll create something together. A few ideas, so many activities on the community, and when they will have the opportunities, we're sure they will do the step and move back. Again, I would like to thank everyone. I would like to thank for the invitation, and let's have a fruitful conference. Thank you.